So now we have, a lot of original here source material that I'm going back
Hey,
to.
before we
And
jump into this, just leave it. Just leave that as is. I just have a question for you. Why did you
yeah,
call me? Why did you call me?
what do you mean? Why did I call you?
when you called me when you called me about a month ago, what was the how did you what made you think of me to call me?
Oh, you mean like because we haven't spoken in a while?
Yeah, it was like, what was the thought that I'm dying to know. Like you were like, oh shit, I'll call Kurt.
Yeah, well, I got all excited about the NFT thing, and
Hmm.
I wanted to see where you're at because there is a whole world of NFT art happening, and there's very few people in comics doing it, and I wanted to check in
Right,
with you and see where you're at. I wanted to, if you're like a mile ahead of me, or you're not into it, or whatever,
right.
then then talking, I realized like I want to do a lot more comics, not just for NFTs, but also for publishing. And I was like, what? Why don't we work together? I mean, I don't know. It just came out of our conversation. We haven't spoken in person for a long time, and or even on the phone, right? I just see you out on Instagram
Yeah,
doing your
right,
scratch board things, and
right.
I was wondering, well, why? This is a wasted opportunity. Why don't we, do something before we get too old?
Yeah, get the band back
Get the
because
band
we were
back
pretty
together.
formidable. Yeah, the band is back, everybody.
Right. Well,
Not that anybody
you,
missed us.
well, we both got busy day jobs and we're paying our rent and
Yeah,
and going
yeah,
through life.
yeah,
Lots of time has passed since we chilled out together.
yeah.
So
But I'll have to
yeah,
say
so
this. I'll have to say this though. When we got on the phone for the first time in 20 years, it was like I had just talked to you like the other day ago.
yeah, yeah, I know. It's the same. It's a lot of the similar similar stuff, but just more gray hair, I guess, here and
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
No,
I
so because
wasn't.
the backstory is that before life took us away, I was to ink Turbo Pit Fighter. And so I was waiting on those pages and then boom. But I literally, um, I have in my studio, I've got stacks of stuff just like anybody else. But one of those stacks is the FedEx folder, what you had sent me of just like, hey, heads up, here's what the page is. It was all 8.5 by 11. And then some of the word bubbles. But do you have a script? Like, did you do a script of this,
Well,
or is it just it's just that page of word bubbles?
yeah. So I have a lot of my source material here, and um, I know I did all the word bubbles. Um, I started to do it like this, where I was just printing it out on a computer and then tracing it so it looks like it's really good by hand. Then I'm not sure when exactly this happened because we're talking about years passing here, but I found this pretty good font and I just typed out all the dialogue. Um, and so I don't think there's a written script here, but I have all the dialogue, and so this all just has to be just kind of traced and inserted. And I think we're going to
Right,
be we have to make a decision about curses because the very first line in issue one in the little
right.
dialogue box is don't know shit about history dot dot dot. So
and
what
that's
kind of a
and that's
what's that?
panel. That right there's panel one,
Right.
and
And
then it goes over to
it goes
there.
from there. But yeah, but we got some F bombs in here, and you know
Nice.
there was there was some light nudity, which I don't know. I think we should just cover up the the pasties or whatever, and then maybe we
Well,
just
we're gonna
have like a separate like limited edition nude variant or something.
right.
But
Yeah,
you
that's what
know,
all the kids want.
yeah, I mean, what has happened in the 20 years since we spoke? Well, I don't know. I got a couple kids. I'm a school teacher. You know, a lot more. I'm a lot more, I guess, conservative.
Responsible.
Yeah,
Now, I
right.
wouldn't call
Clean.
you conservative.
Well, clean cut. Let's say
You cleaned your act up.
I clean my act up. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, like
Unfortunately, I did not get myself into the kids thing, so I'm still rough around the edges, Jake. So I'll apologize ahead of time and even in the future.
yeah. Well, you're out there in the business world, and I'm in the education sphere here. But I mean, when I spoke to you, I actually was thinking about maybe working on a different comic project.
Right.
Um, but the thing about this one is that, all the pencils are done for the first one. So you could be inking and I could be doing the pencils for the next one. And I do have a lot of old stuff. I can't hardly remember any of this, but I have pages and pages of notes that, you know, just go on and on. So I got to read all through this and make sense of it. But you know, really good news. Something I found here is um, is if you can see this on my screen, what it says. This is just like a little typewritten uh, packet
Synopsis.
here, synopsis
Right.
of issues 1 to 4, and sure enough, issue 1 ends right where we ended it. She's hiding under the mini pier, seething. End issue
Right.
1. So
Right.
so I actually have full synopsi for issue 2, 3, and 4. And I haven't even read it yet. I have no idea. The pathways in my brain are just lost about everything that had to do with this. And
Right.
I thought we're gonna have to reinvent it from, reinvent the wheel here.
Eh,
And then I also have a lot of other notes here. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of this stuff will refine as we go. But
right.
yeah, but I mean, if we just want to describe this like in the most basic terms for anybody that might actually be viewing this,
Right.
um, this is a post-apocalyptic comic where there's characters, there's some kind of like society that's all wiped out, and there's devolved into pit fighting, and there's just like I like a road warrior type landscape. That's how I, compare it to, because that's my favorite
Right.
movie of all time. Um, and it also goes, through flashbacks of the beginning of the main character, who is a burly female, I don't know, muscular female, just you know, uh, a pit fighter, and we will maybe get into a little bit of like supernatural ability because she was resistant from the disease that wiped out the planet, and all of the survivors have these little like veins on their eyes, around their eyes,
Yeah.
for any normies, and then some people it just didn't affect, and maybe they just have like enhanced strength, and they became the pit fighter class. And from there antics ensue. um I definitely have this other character, the trophy girl, and she was actually the prize of the first pit fight in the first issue. And so Turbo um, actually wins her in the first battle, and she isn't happy about that and runs away. And she ends up back with the main character after getting attacked, and just out of necessity, they kind of come together. So I know you were seeing this kind of like as a revenge story. Um, and I don't know. I in my mind, I kind of saw it as a love story,
Ooh.
but but I can't wait till to read my own synopsis and see where I had this thing going. in my younger days, in my my big vast plans for this whole thing.
Yeah, because
So
you've always had a lot of things going on in the way of like, because I remember you sending me, like I said, this FedEx envelope I had that synopsis, and then I had another story in there. And even when first started working together, um, I think you'd sent me like three synopsises and stuff. But how old has Turbo Fighter been in your head and then on paper?
um well, I found the first sketch that started it all.
Yeah.
If you want to see in the
Heck
source
yeah.
material, and it was back when I was doing some I guess non PC. I wanted to do like all these
Underground.
yeah, underground comics. And so we do have a really nice cover here for it,
Ah,
which is
hell
all
yeah.
done. It's all full color. It's all ready to go. But the original the original thing was like, I was trying to do things like and this is very non PC for nowadays. We've gone through a couple of Me Too movements and everything. But
Evolution.
yeah, but like, I was just trying to find, things that were intentionally provocative.
Yeah.
So I have this sketch here. Um,
Wow.
and this was early on. I have this sketch here, which was probably a little bit later along, but before the cover.
Right.
And yeah, and not seeing it. Maybe I poked it back away in the file here, but um, I'll find it as we're talking here. There's a lot went into this to get where it is now. And it made me realize like how organized you really need to be to get something off the ground. Like I can show
Yeah.
you once I had the type synopsis, I made this dummy, and this had like the very basic, like, just stick figures of what was going on here with panel numbers. And this was actually how I blocked out the whole thing, and then just started laying out the pages. And see, these are really just notes to self that
Right.
don't mean anything to anybody, but it gets your storytelling moving, in a very cohesive way. And let me see if I can find that early sketch. I'm really excited to read all this stuff um, when I have a chance. And then, one thing is that, I was thinking like she should have a lot of tattoos, but I don't think we have them in the final pages. I was
No,
thinking,
not in your pencils, because you were doing them in Photoshop in the color.
right? Yeah, what I was thinking is like maybe we go back in and put them on using a computer tint, so it has like a kind of a tattoo
Fade.
look. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah, exactly, like a
Right.
fade,
Right.
with like a half tone fade in there. But
Yeah,
there's
I have been thinking along those lines, because I have a postcard of the original cover you had done, all colored and everything, and I had noticed that she had like armband tattoos. Um,
right. Yeah, so that might be something we have to put in later in post production
right.
once we get these things on a computer. And that'll just kind of be like an overlay, and it'll be fun to put that on every page. And you know it'll make everything a lot more intricate for sure.
Right.
And just so people know, that was the colorized page, but we have it a very high res CMYK file on digital somewhere. And yeah, no, I'm just looking for. I can't find that first conceptual thing, but I'll find it. I'll find it in my travels before we're done here.
Cool.
Eh, yeah, and yeah. So like the question is, if you're just like chugging along doing inks, right?
Right.
And so I need to get on the pencils for the second edition.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to go through this whole process of blocking the story out, turning it into breakdowns, and maybe we will kind of co-script the the blow by blow part of that.
Right.
Or I could just start working on the second cover because I have some decent sketches here for that. Um, I have this one, which is kind of like a rough, and then this one, which is maybe a little bit farther along. Um, and it shows more of the, I guess, closeness of the trophy girl and Turbo Pit Fighter. Turbo. Um,
Turbo.
yeah, I mean, I thought that her name could be Turvo, Turveaux, and so they just call her Turbo for short. But here is here's a oh, I found it. Okay, so here's a this a sketch from a loose piece of paper where she's destroying a robot. Um,
Right.
and then here is the very first conceptual page, and I guess where it come from. It had the idea of the trophy woman, man at arms. I guess that
Oh,
was a
okay.
character that never happened. This is the robot bus driver who has a fake Elvis head, and I have a note. He does, he was acquired used. The only thing he can do is drive the bus and play music. And I think that technology has advanced so far, in the time that we've done this. And then it said goat pet or goat thing, which was just like, So again, this was very like just conceptual, experimental, and non-PC. And it's not the final iteration. This is how things change. And this is just like a typical, stormtrooper bad guy and what they're equipped with. And 20 years ago, this might have seemed like, wow, it's a video transmitter on his head. And now it's like everybody has that in real life. I think ever since Desert Storm, they've had all this kind of stuff. So that's just like, going backwards, going down memory lane. But going forwards, we want to produce a high quality comic, a bit more family friendly. It will have some blood and guts, but maybe not be have sexual references, too racy. I think just in terms of commercial viability, we probably just want to stay along the mainstream track here. But I don't know. Where there there's you know there's also the possibility of doing like a nude variant. I know a lot of people do that now and try to get that like that other market, that collectibles market.
Yeah, I mean, just a little historical about us. I mean, we met in '93, I think it was, because you had taken an ad out in, I think it was the back of the comics journal or
Did I?
it was a rag. It was a comics rag, though. You could pick it up at shops, though, comic shops.
Hmm. I don't even
Anyhow,
remember that.
yeah, I know. And but you were looking for somebody to work with. I think it was actually for inking or even penciling or what have you. But you being up in the big NYC, um, we started doing all the shows up there in Jacob Javits and everything. So, and at the end of '93, '94 is really also where the whole bubble bursts in the black and white independent um, comics arena. But it seems that that's also now very coveted. People are really leaning back at the black and whites, especially from the '80s, Aircell, Tim Vigil, and Rebel Studios, and all that. So this book right now is also going to be black and white interior. Um, and there's also obviously opportunity to make a color version, but I'm really pouring my inking chops into just having it be tonally um, a black and white book. But
Right. Right.
when you say when you say something to the extent of commercial, I think we also need to start. We need to think about the lay of the lands, because there's a lot of things going on out there um, in comic book world, which is actually kind of nice in a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
were
ways.
updating me. I was totally out of it. You were updating me on how
Yeah, I mean,
important it is now.
I only got back in um, about 6 years ago. Um, Actually jumped out again, and then would like to get back into it this year. And then you magically called, so here I am back in it. Um, but I think the thing about it is, I think the name of the game is putting ourselves out there, and then see who gets attracted to it, and you know actually wants to see more, and so on and so forth. And that's here we are with the channel, having a Turbo Pit Fighter comic YouTube channel, um, and then other social media stuff. So um, we'll see what
Yeah.
comes out of it. We'll see what comes out of it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
you know, I,
fierce. There's a lot of fierce competition.
yeah, I mean, it's good when comics are good. It helps everybody, right? When there's like
Right.
a killer comic out there, in America, the comic market is fighting so hard just to survive. As we speak, the manga sales have exceeded American comics for the
Oh
first
wow.
time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so they're the creators are reeling, because they lost so much market share to these little, manga digests, and they have, where I live, they have a mall out here, and they have this store called Newberry Comics, which has all the latest manga and all the latest comics. And the manga is all up front as soon as you walk in, just on those typical Japanese, shelves, and they're all sideways, like bookshelf style. And then the comics are in the back, and they're all facing forward, and you can see all the covers. And then there's like another wall of graphic novels where they're all, you just look at the little spine and pull them out, and it's a lot more money, and it's compiled, all of the floppy comics all together into story arcs. But I imagine it's feast or famine in the industry. If you're not working for a big, and you are, trying to survive and pay your rent, you're either in some kind of semi-pro, limbo, or else you're, working, at a steady page rate, and you're burning the midnight oil, and, you're cranking stuff out, for Marvel or DC, or, um, I don't know, maybe you want to talk a little bit about how Image is changed these days, because a lot of creators are working for Image now.
Well, it's that they get together their books. You were saying, um, last week when we were talking by phone, it was like, you see this series as being 3 issues, and then you said, oh, well, we'll go ahead and right now pitch it to Image, and then Image, they're all about it being already not only packaged. It's all done. 3 issues are done. We've done a Kickstarter or running a Patreon, and we got maybe 1,000 people that are paying us 99 cents for a PDF download, or $3 a month to see the new pages each month. There's all these other ways of viewing comics, and keeping the the interest in going forward. But I think what it really kind of determines in a lot of the getting published by somebody else is what you're bringing to the table for attention. Who are you? What are you talking about? So on and so forth. So, it'll be interesting to get out to a point where we're on issue 3 and we've got some kind of attention, and then the next thing you know it, you're having a conversation with somebody, maybe an image through Twitter or Instagram or something, where back in the day, for us it was you had to put everything together as slick copies from Kinko's and in a manila envelope and send it to the
And
editor, and then just sit there and wait, and
yeah,
somebody will you know give you a call or send you a rejection letter. um,
right.
you
For
know
your
if you're
collection.
yeah, if you're lucky to get the rejection letter, that was always sort of the
Right.
frustrating point. Was it would just be
If
nice
they
to
don't.
hear somebody say, no, I'm not interested
Right.
because, so yeah, we've got we ain't got no weight or name in the game, so we got to start at zero. um Improve ourselves. And I think one of the reasons we wanted to put this channel together was just to do that, to challenge ourselves to meet once a week and um, talk about our book and our process, and show people that we're getting these pages done. you know,
That's right.
so that's
I would
that's
love
really what it comes down to, right?
I would love to make this a productive, hour a week, or maybe hour plus. The
Yeah.
people might just see like an edited version, but I have a brand new pad here of
Woo!
Fanboy Pages. I think this costs like $28 now.
Was that
Um,
3 pages?
n- no, this has
Mhm.
24,
Oh, okay.
which yeah, which is not even enough
It's like
for
an
a
80
comic
pound
book.
Bristol. Oh, it's
It's
ANSI.
really good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's nice. And this is the
What's the
best.
weight?
I'm looking here to see where it says here it's 150 pound.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really
Yeah, so
nice.
these are long lasting boards, but there's only 24 of them, so this won't even get you through a full comic. I bought this other one here, Strathmore Bristol, and let's see, this is 100 pound. And it's also 24 sheets because you figure you need at least two of these to get you through one comic. I mean, our comic is what, 32 plus four, I think? How many pages
No,
do
I
we
think it's
have?
20. I think it's 28 plus 4.
Right?
I
It's
think it puts
28
us
plus
at.
four.
I think it puts us 32 altogether in
Right,
the end.
which means we need some filler, right? And that might be what I'm drawing right now. If we
Right,
have
right.
if we have 28 plus 4, right, we have to get to 32 plus 4. Otherwise, you got to go down, right, for the printed signatures. It has to be a multiple of 8. So you could either do 24 plus 4 or 32 plus 4. But you can't there's like nothing in between for the printing companies. Is that still the case, or maybe I'm just
Uh yeah, I think it's still that way. I'm trying to remember the last book I did, but I was keeping them at that fours,
Oh,
16,
right.
20, just whatever, whatever the fours would get you out to. And 28, I think, is really kind of a solid book, but once again, we're talking about floppies, and floppies, I think are, they're expensive to make and they're expensive to get out there. And if you're trying to make, some kind of profit to keep yourself going, let alone try to pay your mortgage, um, you got to sell a lot of floppies. So you got to bring that
Right.
price down. But the other thing I hear a lot on other podcasts is just how, once again, you receive your weekly content from your favorite creators. So I think having a book, um, you know, as it is right now, standing at 28 pages and 4 extra, for front and back cover, interior cover, all that kind of stuff is great. I think that the bigger part of it is in interest is, people getting attached to the storyline, they're getting it from, like, let's say if we started a Patreon, and then, every week we're uploading a new fresh page, and, there's a lot to be said. And then the floppy becomes, um, like an accessory to, being a fan of Turbo. So then people are like, yeah, man, I want to, but the big thing I've heard, this is a few years back on, I forget what channel, but YouTube channel, but they were talking about how, and this was somebody in the industry that was saying, oh, it's really hard to move floppies. Um, but, what people do, it was a young friend of mine that was collecting and then also kind of talking about comics on a YouTube channel he started. They wait for the trade paperback. They'll read the
Right.
whole thing step by step. You can give all the pages away for free, online, even just through your Instagram. But then it comes to a hey, everybody, it's done. Now it's your turn to get your copy of the entire uh, collection
Right.
of the
Yeah.
pages. And then you
Right.
put um, extras in there, and things that nobody else has seen. Even everything that you have right now should be scanned, because I see a lot of guys, what they do is they'll put um, that as like an extra 30 pages, like you're seeing all the stuff, because
Well,
I think a lot of people that are watching us, are trying to do the same thing. It's I think the special part of making a comic book is the fact that not only do we want to do it, but here we are, doing it. So it's, and then we've just got to keep doing it. And because I know personally, I've seen plenty of people talk about making comic books, and myself included. But at the end of the month, you know, is it still going? Is it still there? Is it still interesting? It's a lot of competition. A lot of competition out there.
yeah. I mean,
So
but nothing's
we're
going to
we're
be
gonna
exactly
find
the
out.
same.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we're
I
gonna
mean,
find
so
out.
well, part of my experiment here is the new blockchain marketplace, and
Right.
I am following what's going on. I have a Twitter feed that's art underscore Bronx. It's Bronx art, and I just bookmarked. I saw another comic book offering that is being sold as NFTs. It looks like it's sold out. It looks like it's pretty successful. It's one of these things where it's just like these profile pictures, and then they were successful, so they had somebody make a comic out of it. So,
Oh,
if we're taking people, from 0 to 60 here, NFTs are these digital artworks that people have been paying, enormous sums of money for. Some people say that it's the craziest flash in the pan and it's going to go away. And some people are digging in and preparing for this to be the future of art. But
yeah.
what's actually going to happen, nobody knows. And
Right.
for me, it just seems like a no-brainer. If we're doing all this work and we're making printed, published comics, we might as well just sell a digital version and see what happens. You have nothing,
Right.
very little to lose. And
Right.
so I started some NFTs, some of my other artwork, and I want to bring comics into it. Although I'm gonna probably be waiting for the summer to really do that. And
Hunker down.
yeah, and it's really kind of unclear how this is going to work. Marvel and DC have all of their characters, being sold as NFTs right now under this VV app, and they're very, very successful. They're making millions on this, and they're selling their comics like digital editions, like people are buying limited NFT versions of classic comics. I just saw a headline, Kurt, yesterday that Marvel Comics #1, which is the first
Yeah.
appearance of Human Torch.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody just bought that in the aftermarket for $10,000, an
Whoa.
NFT of it.
Whoa.
And yeah, and there was I think there was like 30,000 of them sold, and some of them were like the rarer editions. Maybe there's only a couple hundred that are the rarer editions. And I don't know, like, you can't even trust what you're seeing. I mean, there's no doubt it sold for $10,000. The only question is, did some, like, sheik from Abu Dhabi do that because they believe in NFTs and they want to generate a headline? I mean,
Yep.
that's the kind of stuff that's been happening.
Yep.
When the Beeple artwork sold for 69 million at Christie's, we found out that a lot of, really, really rich investors are just doing this to try to make the market, right? They're just trying to
Yeah.
get headlines, and they're blowing exorbitant amounts of money just to show the world that, that this is, as crazy as it is, and break into the mainstream. So, long story short is, we'll be working on this project, and we'll be putting out, NFTs, and I'm still trying to figure out whether an NFT could be, a comic, because they are doing that where you have the little reader app and you're buying, an exclusive digital version of it that you can
Right.
buy and sell, and you sell it on the aftermarket, and you just flip through the pages and read it, and you can zoom in, zoom out, and it's as simple as that, and you own a copy, and we would have to decide, the creator would decide how many you're going to put out, how scarce it's going to be. Or the other option is to put out the artwork, the actual digital artwork, as an NFT, and sell that, as a, just like you would sell an original physical artwork. The buyer would own it, and it could either come with rights or not, reproduction rights or not, and the contract would specify. But what do we want to do? That's what everybody will have to figure out.
Well,
It's
it's
a
definitely
it's an
what's
exciting.
being figured out, because I think the broader conversation is, it's very discouraging, to as an artist nowadays, no matter what industry you're in, to just put your art up there and then it's flipped through a social media app, and the individual flipping through your work says, okay, I've seen that, what else is there? And there's a little bit of loss in, the waiting for something, or, and then all the way up to getting excited about the next one that comes out, and quote unquote ownership of it. The idea of owning the original, the idea of, the artists themselves profiting over time of having put time into the work for so many years, and so on and so forth. So I don't think there's anybody in the industry of making art that is not cheering on, the opportunity for, smart contracts. So
Yeah,
I think that will be a very, very big point of conversation as things go along. Whether we're on the head of the curve or somewhere on it, it'll all be decided. But yeah, no, I think
yeah,
we're really good. But
yeah.
with
I did.
that being
I did spot. Yeah, go ahead.
well, yeah, I was just gonna say, with that being said, we might want to just go ahead and maybe wrap up this first episode, um, and then look to putting something together next week.
Yeah, definitely the next week we could be into, layouts where I'm laying out page one.
Nice.
Here it looks like I'm doing some filler pages. If we're going to be
Right.
28 plus, if we're at 28 and we need to be 32 plus four. The four, for people that don't know, the four would be the cover, inside front cover, inside back cover, and back cover. So we need art. We need all these panels to be filled up with beautiful, eye-catching art. Everybody knows that in comics, there's a lot of stuff in the back. We're not going to have ads, right? I don't think. So, or maybe we do have one page that's, advertising our NFTs, but we're gonna figure all that out in the coming weeks. And I would love to start laying out the story, but what I have to do is start mining through my notes and then, presenting it to Kurt, and as a dynamic duo, we'll start to talk about how we're breaking the story down. We do need to confront, the length of it because, I just found something that said 1 to 4, and then I guess in my youthful exuberance, I also typed up notes for issue 5. But I don't know if we're biting off more than we can chew here. I thought, a good length for, a graphic novel book at the end of the day would probably be maybe 3 plus extras, or if we do 4, maybe we just do, it depends. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
but yeah, but yeah. So this is it, and